The evening sky darkened as rain began to pour over the city streets. Andre Johnson sighed as he checked the time on his dashboard. After 12 hours of driving passengers around town, his body ached for rest. Just one more fare and he could finally head home to his small apartment, where leftover pasta and a warm shower awaited him. Last ride, he mumbled to himself, rubbing his tired eyes. The patter of raindrops against his windshield had a hypnotic quality that made his eyelids heavy. The radio played soft jazz, barely audible above the sound of his wipers working overtime. Andre was about to switch off his app when he spotted a woman on the corner, frantically waving one arm while cradling someone in the other. She wasn't at a designated pickup spot, and she hadn't called for a ride through the app. Still, something about her desperate movements made him pull over. Rolling down his window, Andre called out, "Everything okay, ma'am?" The woman rushed toward his car, soaked from the downpour. In her arms was a boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, his face flushed and eyes half closed. "Please," she gasped, rain streaming down her face, mixing with what Andre now realized were tears. "My son needs to get to Memorial Hospital. Our car broke down 3 blocks back and my phone died. I've been trying to flag someone down for 20 minutes. Andre didn't hesitate. "Get in," he said, jumping out to open the back door. "Here, let me help you." The woman's relief was immediate and overwhelming. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." As Andre helped them into the back seat, he noticed the boy's labored breathing. "How long has he been like this?" "His fever spiked about an hour ago," the woman explained, brushing wet hair from her face. "He has a condition that sometimes—" "I need to get him to his doctor." Andre nodded, already pulling away from the curb. "Memorial Hospital is about 15 minutes from here." "I know a shortcut." The woman introduced herself as Cynthia, and her son as Leo. Andre kept glancing in his rearview mirror, watching as Cynthia whispered reassurances to Leo while checking his forehead with the back of her hand. "There's a bottle of water in the door pocket if you need it," Andre offered, turning up the heat to combat their rain-soaked clothes. "And some napkins in the glove box." Cynthia reached for the water with a grateful nod. "I can't thank you enough for stopping. Most people just drove past us." Andre shook his head. "I've got a nephew about his age. Couldn't imagine leaving you both out there." He didn't mention that this meant extending his already long workday, or that he'd have to clean his rain-soaked seats later. The boy moaned softly and Cynthia bent closer to him. "It's okay, baby. We're going to see Dr. Rivera soon. He'll make you feel better." "Is there someone I should call for you?" Andre asked, navigating through the rainy streets with careful precision. "Your husband or family, maybe?" Cynthia shook her head. "It's just us tonight. My phone's dead and—" She trailed off, focusing again on her son. Andre noted her simple clothes, jeans and a light jacket that had done little to protect her from the rain. Her shoes were practical, not fancy. Leo wore a school t-shirt and sweatpants. Nothing about them screamed money or privilege, just a mom and her sick kid caught in a bad situation. "I know Memorial well," Andre said, trying to keep her mind occupied. "My sister had her baby there last year." "Good doctors?" Cynthia's expression softened slightly. "Yes, they have excellent pediatric care." She kissed Leo's forehead and frowned. "He's burning up." Andre made a quick decision and took a right turn instead of continuing straight. "This isn't the way to Memorial," Cynthia said, panic edging into her voice. "Construction on Main Street," Andre explained quickly. "They closed the whole block yesterday. This route adds 2 minutes but beats sitting in detour traffic for 15. Cynthia relaxed slightly. "Oh, thank you for knowing that. Part of the job," Andre replied with a small smile. "I drive these streets every day." As they continued through the rain-slick roads, Andre learned that Leo had a rare autoimmune condition. Tonight wasn't their first emergency trip to the hospital, but it was their first time being stranded in the rain without transportation. "We were coming back from visiting my mother," Cynthia explained, dabbing Leo's face with a damp napkin. "The car made this horrible noise and then just died. I should have checked the engine light last week, but with Leo's appointments and work—" Andre nodded understandingly. "Life gets busy, especially when you're handling everything alone." "You sound like you know something about that," Cynthia observed. Andre's eyes met hers briefly in the mirror. "My mom raised 4 of us by herself. I saw how hard she worked, how sometimes one problem can cascade into 10 when you don't have a safety net." Leo stirred and mumbled something. Cynthia leaned closer. "What is it, sweetheart?" "Hurts," the boy whispered. "My stomach really hurts, Mom." Andre pressed the gas pedal a little harder, careful not to be reckless on the wet roads. "We're almost there, buddy. Just a few more minutes." Cynthia looked up with worried eyes. "His medication is in my purse, but it's still in our car. I just grabbed him and ran when I saw how bad he was getting." Andre made another quick decision. "What's the address where your car broke down? I can swing by there after dropping you at the hospital. Grab your purse if you want." The look of astonishment on Cynthia's face made Andre wonder how many times she'd been disappointed by people's unwillingness to help. "You would do that for us? You don't even know us," Andre shrugged. "It's not a big deal. We all need help sometimes." They passed under a streetlight, and Andre caught a glimpse of tears welling in Cynthia's eyes. Not panic tears this time, but something else. Gratitude, perhaps, or relief at finding kindness when she needed it most. "Corner of Elm and 5th, she said softly. "It's a blue Honda Civic. The keys—" Her hand went to her pocket. "I have the keys. I'll need those," Andre said, "and maybe a description of your purse." As they discussed the details, Leo's breathing seemed to grow more labored. Andre noticed Cynthia's increasing anxiety and focused on getting them to the hospital as quickly as possible. They turned onto Hospital Drive, the large illuminated sign for Memorial's emergency department visible through the rain. Andre pulled up directly to the entrance, ignoring the no parking signs. "I'll help you get him inside," he said, already opening his door. "But your car can wait," Andre finished for her. He came around to their door and opened it, reaching in to help with Leo. "Let me carry him." Cynthia hesitated only briefly before allowing Andre to lift her son. Leo was lighter than he looked, his small frame burning with fever against Andre's chest. Together, they hurried through the automatic doors into the bright lights of the emergency room. The waiting area was surprisingly full for a rainy weeknight. Andre carried Leo to the registration desk while Cynthia explained the situation to the triage nurse. "His doctor is Dr. Rivera," she said. "He knows Leo's case. Please call him." The nurse looked at her computer screen with a frown. "Do you have his insurance card?" Cynthia's face fell. "My purse is in our car. It broke down, that's why we—" "I understand," the nurse cut in, "but we need to register him before—" "His temperature is 103, Andre interrupted, "and he's having trouble breathing." "Can't registration wait until after a doctor sees him?" The nurse looked at Andre, then back at Leo, whose eyes were now closed completely. Something in her expression shifted. "Let me see what I can do," she said, picking up a phone. While they waited, Andre noticed how Cynthia's hands trembled as she stroked Leo's hair. Without thinking, he reached out and briefly touched her shoulder. "He's going to be okay," he said softly. "You got him here. That's what matters." Cynthia looked up at him, really seeing him perhaps for the first time since their desperate encounter on the street corner. This stranger who had not only stopped when others wouldn't, but was now standing beside her in the bright, sterile hospital hallway, her son in his arms, offering comfort when he could have been home ending his long day. "I don't even know your name," she realized aloud. "Andre," he said simply. "Andre Johnson." "Andre," she repeated. "I'm Cynthia Wells, and this—" She touched her son's face gently. "Is Leo—" Before Andre could respond, the doors to the treatment area opened, and a medical team approached with a gurney. "Leo Wells?" a doctor asked, already examining the boy as Andre carefully laid him down. "Yes," Cynthia confirmed. "His fever's gotten worse in the last hour, and he's complaining about stomach pain." As the medical team whisked Leo through the double doors with Cynthia alongside them, Andre stood alone in the busy waiting room, rainwater pooling around his shoes on the linoleum floor. He knew he should get back to his car before it was towed, knew his bed was waiting for him after a long day's work. Instead, he walked to the reception desk and pulled out his wallet. "The Wells boy who just went back," he said quietly to the receptionist. "His mom doesn't have her insurance card with her right now. Can I put down a deposit or something so they don't have to worry about that part tonight?" What Andre didn't know, as he handed over his credit card, was that this simple act of kindness was just the beginning of a connection that would change the course of multiple lives, including his own. Andre sat in an uncomfortable plastic chair in the waiting room, his fingers drumming lightly on his knees. An hour had passed since Leo had been taken into the treatment area. Outside, the rain continued to pour, creating a soot. Hing backdrop to the otherwise tense atmosphere of the emergency room. He checked his phone. 3 missed calls from his roommate wondering where he was. Andre quickly typed out a message. Helping someone at Memorial Hospital. Might be late. Don't wait up, he should have left already. His car was probably getting a ticket if not being towed. His shift had ended hours ago. Yet something kept him rooted to that chair. Concern for the frightened boy with the high fever and his worried mother who had nobody else to call. A nurse walked by, and Andre stood up. Excuse me, any news on Leo Wells? The boy who came in with a high fever about an hour ago? The nurse shook her head. Are you family? No, I'm just... What was he exactly? I'm the one who brought them in. Their car broke down. I can't share patient information with non-family, she said, not unkindly. But you can wait if you want. There's coffee in that corner. Andre nodded and sank back into his chair. He'd give it another 15 minutes, he decided. Just to make sure they were okay. The double doors opened and Cynthia emerged, looking exhausted but less frantic than before. Her eyes scanned the waiting room until they landed on Andre. Surprise flickered across her face. You're still here, she said, approaching him. I thought you'd have gone home by now. Andre stood up. Wanted to make sure Leo was all right. How is he? Cynthia's shoulders relaxed slightly. They've got his fever down. Dr. Rivera wants to run some tests, but he thinks it's just a flare-up of his condition, not something new. She rubbed her temples. They're keeping him overnight. That's good news, right? That it's nothing new? Yes, she agreed, then hesitated. Andre, the nurse, said something strange. She said our registration was already taken care of. Did you? Andre looked away, suddenly finding the vending machine fascinating. It wasn't much, just so they wouldn't hassle you about paperwork while Leo needed help. Cynthia stared at him. You paid our registration fee? You don't even know us, it's just a deposit, Andre shrugged. You can sort out the insurance stuff tomorrow, when you have your purse. He didn't mention that the deposit had been $300, money, that had been earmarked for his overdue electric bill. Cynthia's eyes welled with tears. I don't know what to say. First the ride, now this. She wiped at her eyes with her sleeve, which was still damp from the rain. Hey, it's really nothing, Andre said, uncomfortable with her gratitude.
Speaking of your purse, did you still want me to go back for it?
I've got time. Cynthia looked torn. I can't ask you to do that. You've already done so much and it's still pouring out there. I don't mind the rain, Andre said with a small smile. Besides, you might need things for your overnight stay. Wallet, phone charger, maybe a change of clothes? The relief on Cynthia's face was answer enough. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her car keys. The blue Honda on Elm and 5th, she reminded him. My purse is a brown shoulder bag, probably on the passenger seat. There's also a green backpack in the back seat with Leo's things. She hesitated. Are you sure about this? Positive, Andre said, taking the keys. You stay with Leo. I'll be back in about half an hour. Outside, the rain had turned the world into a blur of wet streets and hazy lights. Andre jogged to his car, unsurprised to find a parking ticket tucked under the windshield wiper. He stuffed it into his pocket without looking at the amount. That was tomorrow's problem. The drive to Elm and 5th took longer than expected. A fallen tree had blocked one lane, backing up traffic. Andre drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, thinking about Cynthia and Leo. There was something about them that tugged at him. Maybe it was the way Cynthia had been so focused on her son, or maybe it was Leo's brave face despite his obvious pain. He finally spotted the blue Honda, hazard light still blinking weakly. Andre pulled up behind it and got out, rain immediately soaking through his jacket. He unlocked the Honda and slid into the driver's seat, looking around. The brown purse was there, as Cynthia had said, along with the green backpack. Andre grabbed both, then paused, noticing the car's interior. It was clean and well-maintained, but definitely not new. The upholstery was worn in spots, and the radio was an older model. A small stack of medical bills peeked out from the center console, alongside a coffee punch card that was one stamp away from a free drink. On the dashboard was a small photo of Cynthia and Leo, both smiling at the beach. They looked happy, carefree, so different from their worried faces tonight. Andre tried the ignition out of curiosity. The car made a horrible grinding noise but wouldn't start. He popped the hood and got out to take a look, rain pelting his back as he leaned over the engine. The problem was immediately obvious to him, a broken timing belt. Not a quick fix and certainly not cheap. He closed the hood and got back in his car, placing Cynthia's things carefully on the passenger seat. The hospital was a 15-minute drive away, but Andre made a detour, pulling into an all-night pharmacy. He ran inside, emerging 5 minutes later with a plastic bag containing a phone charger, a small toiletry kit, and 2 sandwiches from the cooler section. When Andre returned to the hospital, he found Cynthia in Leo's room. The boy was asleep, an IV in his arm and monitors beeping softly beside him. His face was still flushed, but his breathing seemed easier. Cynthia looked up as Andre entered, relief washing over her face. "You came back." "Told you I would," Andre said, setting down her purse in Leo's backpack. He held up the pharmacy bag. "Brought a few things you might need. Toothbrush, phone charger, some food." Cynthia stared at the bag, then at Andre as if she couldn't quite believe he was real. "Why are you doing all this?" Andre shrugged, suddenly self-conscious. "Just seems like the right thing to do." Cynthia took the bag with trembling hands. "Thank you." Her voice caught. "Nobody's been this kind to us in a long time." "How's he doing?" Andre asked, nodding toward Leo. "Better," Cynthia said, looking at her son with such love that Andre had to glance away. "They gave him medication for the inflammation. Doctor says he should be more comfortable soon." She paused. "Did you check my car? Will it start?" Andre hesitated. "It's the timing belt." Snapped clean through. Cynthia closed her eyes briefly. "Of course it is. That's going to be expensive." "My buddy runs a garage," Andre said. "I could give him a call tomorrow, see if he can give you a fair price." "That would be wonderful," Cynthia said, then frowned. "But how will I get the car there? And how will Leo and I get home tomorrow?" Andre hadn't thought that far ahead, but the words came easily. "I can help with that too. I'm off tomorrow anyway." This was a lie. He'd have to call in and lose a day's wages, but the thought of Cynthia trying to manage everything alone bothered him more than the lost income. "I can't keep accepting your help," Cynthia protested weakly. "You must have your own life, your own problems." "Nothing that can't wait a day," Andre replied. He pulled out his phone. "Let me give you my number. Text me when you know what time Leo's being discharged and I'll come get you both." As they exchanged numbers, a nurse entered the room, followed by a doctor in a crisp white coat. The doctor's eyebrows rose slightly at the sight of Andre. "Mrs. Wells," the doctor said. "I'm Dr. Rivera. I've been reviewing Leo's charts." Cynthia straightened. "Is everything okay?" "His numbers are improving," Dr. Rivera assured her. "But I'd like to run one more test in the morning just to be thorough." The doctor's eyes drifted to Andre, questioning. Cynthia quickly introduced him. "This is Andre Johnson. He's the one who helped us get here when our car broke down." Dr. Rivera nodded politely. "That was kind of you, Mr. Johnson. Leo's condition can become serious quite rapidly if not treated promptly." Andre nodded, feeling suddenly out of place among the medical terminology and beeping machines. "I should probably get going," he said. "Let you all do your thing." Cynthia walked him to the door. "Andre," she said softly, "I don't know how to thank you for everything." "No need," Andre replied. "Just focus on getting Leo better." He glanced at the sleeping boy. "He seems like a great kid." "He is," Cynthia said, her voice filled with pride despite her exhaustion. "He's the bravest person I know," Andre smiled. "Text me tomorrow, okay?" "I meant what I said about helping with the car." As he turned to leave, Cynthia impulsively reached out and squeezed his hand. "Thank you," she whispered again, and the simple sincerity in her voice made something warm bloom in Andre's chest. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. The night air felt clean and fresh as Andre walked to his car, his mind still in that hospital room with the brave boy and his tired mother. He'd lost a day's wages tomorrow, had a parking ticket to pay, and his electric bill would be late again. By any reasonable measure, stopping for Cynthia and Leo had complicated his already challenging life. Yet as Andre drove home through the quiet streets, he couldn't bring himself to regret any of it. Sometimes, he thought, the right thing and the hard thing were exactly the same. What Andre didn't know as he finally crawled into bed in the early hours of the morning was that Dr. Rivera had made a phone call immediately, after leaving Leo's room, a call that would set in motion events neither Andre nor Cynthia could possibly anticipate. Morning. Sunlight streamed through the hospital window, casting a warm glow across Leo's bed. The boy was sitting up now. Some color returned to his cheeks as he picked at a bowl of bland hospital oatmeal. Cynthia sat beside him, dark circles under her eyes suggesting she hadn't slept much. "Mom, this tastes like wet paper," Leo complained, pushing the bowl away. Cynthia smiled tiredly. "I know, honey. But Dr. Rivera says you need to eat something before your test." Leo sighed dramatically. "Can we get pancakes after? Real ones with blueberries?" "If Dr. Rivera says it's okay, then absolutely," Cynthia promised, running her hand through his messy hair. A soft knock on the door made them both look up. A nurse entered, followed by a tall, elegant woman in a tailored suit. The woman's presence seemed to immediately fill the room, her confident stride and perfect posture marking her as someone accustomed to authority. "Good morning, Mrs. Wells," the nurse said. "Ms. Charlotte Hamilton from the hospital administration would like a word with you." Cynthia straightened in her chair, suddenly alert. "Is something wrong with our paperwork? I have my insurance card now." The woman, Charlotte, smiled warmly. "Nothing's wrong, Mrs. Wells, quite the contrary. I just wanted to check in personally on Leo's progress." She turned to the boy. "Hello, Leo. I hear you had quite an adventure getting here last night." Leo nodded seriously. "Our car broke. A nice man drove us here. He gave Mom his jacket because we were all wet from the rain." Charlotte's eyes softened. "That sounds like a very nice man indeed." She turned back to Cynthia. "Dr. Rivera speaks very highly of how you manage Leo's condition, Mrs. Wells. We're impressed with your dedication." Cynthia blinked, clearly caught off guard by the personal attention. "Thank you, but it's what any mother would do." "Not all mothers navigate medical complexities with such grace," Charlotte countered. She glanced at her watch. "I understand Leo has a test scheduled soon. Perhaps while he's having that done, you and I could have a chat? There's a quiet lounge down the hall." Something in Charlotte's tone made it clear this wasn't really a request. Cynthia hesitated, then nodded. "As long as I can be back before Leo's finished." "Of course," Charlotte assured her. 20 minutes later, after Leo had been wheeled away for his test, Cynthia found herself sitting across from Charlotte in a small but elegantly furnished room she hadn't noticed during previous hospital visits. It certainly wasn't the usual family waiting area with its plastic chairs and outdated magazines. "Coffee?" Charlotte offered, gesturing to a carafe on the side table. "Thank you," Cynthia said, accepting a cup gratefully. The rich aroma was worlds away from the watery cafeteria coffee she'd choked down earlier. Charlotte settled into her chair, regarding Cynthia with thoughtful eyes. "Mrs. Wells, may I call you Cynthia? I'm not actually from hospital administration." Cynthia stiffened. "Then who are you?" "I'm Charlotte Hamilton. My father is Robert Hamilton." The name hung in the air between them. Even Cynthia, who paid little attention to business news, recognized it. Robert Hamilton's company owned half the hospitals in the state, including Memorial. "I don't understand," Cynthia said slowly. "Why would Robert Hamilton's daughter want to talk to me?" Charlotte set down her coffee cup. "Dr. Rivera called me last night. He mentioned that you and Leo arrived with a good Samaritan, a rideshare driver who went above and beyond to help you." Cynthia relaxed slightly. "Andre, yes, he was incredible. I don't know what we would have done without him." Dr. Rivera was quite moved by the story, Charlotte continued, "especially when he learned this driver paid your registration fee out of his own pocket." "He what?" Cynthia's hand froze halfway to her mouth. "I thought he just put down a small deposit or something." Charlotte shook her head. $300. Not a small sum for someone working as a driver. Heat crept up Cynthia's neck. "I had no idea. I need to pay him back right away." "That's partly why I wanted to speak with you," Charlotte said. "My family's foundation runs a program recognizing extraordinary acts of community kindness. We'd like to include your driver, Andre, was it, in our next ceremony." Cynthia frowned slightly. "That's very nice, but Andre doesn't strike me as someone who wants public recognition. He seemed uncomfortable just when I thanked him." Charlotte nodded thoughtfully. "The humble ones often deserve recognition the most." She took a sip of her coffee. "There's something else. Dr. Rivera mentioned your car broke down. Is that being taken care of?" "Andre is actually helping with that too," Cynthia explained. "He's picking us up later and taking us to his friend's garage." She looked down at her coffee. "I feel like I'm taking advantage of his kindness at this point." "Nonsense," Charlotte said firmly. "You were in need and he chose to help. That's how community should work." She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. I'd like to help as well. Please call this number when you have an estimate for your car repairs. Cynthia didn't take the card immediately. That's very generous, but no buts, Charlotte interrupted gently. Consider it part of our foundation's work. We help families dealing with chronic medical conditions. Transportation issues fall squarely within our mission. Before Cynthia could respond, her phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it, her face breaking into a smile. It's Andre, he's on his way. Charlotte's eyebrows rose slightly. Perfect timing. I'd love to meet him if you don't mind. Something about Charlotte's interest in Andre made Cynthia hesitate, but she couldn't think of a polite way to refuse. Of course. 45 minutes later, Leo's test was complete, showing improvement from the night before. Dr. Rivera had approved his discharge, with instructions for follow-up care and medication adjustments. Cynthia was helping Leo tie his shoes when a nurse appeared at the door. Mrs. Wells, your ride is here. Leo perked up. Is it the nice man from last night? The nurse smiled. A gentleman is waiting in the lobby. Says his name is Andre. Cynthia gathered their things, including the pharmacy bag Andre had brought the night before. Ready to go home, buddy? Leo nodded enthusiastically. Can we still get pancakes? We'll see, Cynthia said, taking his hand. As they walked toward the elevator, she was surprised to see Charlotte waiting for them. All set for discharge? Charlotte asked pleasantly. Yes, thank you, Cynthia replied. She couldn't shake the feeling that Charlotte's interest went beyond normal hospital courtesy, especially for someone who claimed not to be part of the administration. In the lobby, Andre stood waiting, looking more rested than he had the night before but still wearing the same clothes. His face brightened when he spotted Leo walking under his own power. Hey, look who's feeling better, he called, giving the boy a gentle fist bump. I get to have pancakes, Leo announced proudly. Andre laughed. Sounds like a solid recovery plan to me. Cynthia started to make introductions, but to her surprise, Charlotte stepped forward with her hand extended. You must be Andre Johnson, she said warmly. I'm Charlotte Hamilton. Cynthia was just telling me about your kindness last night. Andre shook her hand, clearly caught off guard. Just did what anyone would do, ma'am. Charlotte's smile deepened. I think we both know that's not true. Not everyone would wait at the hospital for hours, pay a registration fee for strangers, then offer to help with their car the next day. Andre shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Cynthia with a question in his eyes. She gave a small shrug, equally confused by Charlotte's presence. Speaking of the car, Andre said, changing the subject. My buddy can look at it today, but he's swamped with work. Might take a few days to fix. That's not a problem, Charlotte interjected smoothly. We can arrange alternative transportation for Cynthia and Leo until their car is repaired. Andre blinked. We? Ms. Hamilton works with a foundation that helps families dealing with medical issues, Cynthia explained. Though she wasn't entirely convinced this was the whole truth. The Hamilton Family Foundation, Charlotte clarified, handing Andre a business card identical to the one she'd given Cynthia. We'd like to cover the car repairs as part of our family support program. Andre looked at the card, then back at Charlotte with newfound wariness. That's very generous. It's what we do, Charlotte said simply. She checked her watch. I've taken up enough of your time. Leo is clearly ready for those pancakes. She smiled at the boy, who was bouncing impatiently by his mother's side. Cynthia has my number. Please don't hesitate to call about the car or anything else you might need. With that, Charlotte nodded politely and walked away, her heels clicking confidently on the hospital floor. Who was that? Andre asked quietly as they watched her disappear around a corner. I'm not entirely sure, Cynthia admitted. She says she's Robert Hamilton's daughter. Andre's eyebrows shot up. The Robert Hamilton? The billionaire? Cynthia nodded slowly. Apparently Dr. Rivera told her about us, about you specifically. How you helped us, Andre frowned. Why would a doctor call a billionaire's daughter about a random rideshare pickup? Before Cynthia could respond, Leo tugged at her hand. Mom, pancakes. You promised, Cynthia squeezed his hand. Right. Pancakes first, mysteries later. Andre seemed to shake off his confusion, focusing back on them. I know a great place for pancakes not far from here. My treat. Absolutely not, Cynthia insisted. You've done more than enough. This is my treat, and I won't take no for an answer. Andre held up his hands in surrender. Yes, ma'am. As they walked to Andre's car, Leo chattering excitedly between them, Cynthia couldn't help glancing back at the hospital. Something told her that Charlotte Hamilton's interest in Andre wasn't simply about recognizing a good deed. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Charlotte was already on the phone in her private office, describing Andre Johnson in detail to her father. And Robert Hamilton was listening with intense interest. 3 days had passed since Leo's hospital stay. Andre sat in his apartment, staring at his phone and the string of text messages from Cynthia. She'd sent photos of Leo enjoying an ice cream cone, looking much healthier than the feverish boy Andre had carried into the emergency room. The latest message included a picture of her blue Honda, now fixed and parked in her driveway. "Car's all done," her text read. "Your friend Mike at the garage was amazing. Wouldn't let me pay a cent, said it was already taken care of. This Hamilton Foundation is something else." Andre frowned at the message. Something about the whole situation still didn't sit right with him. Mike had called yesterday unusually excited, saying that someone from the Hamilton Foundation had not only paid for Cynthia's car repairs, but had also cleared Andre's outstanding tab over $800 for parts he'd been paying off slowly for his own car. They just walked in and paid it all. "Man," Mike had said, "who did you rescue, the president's daughter?" Andre hadn't told Cynthia about that part. It felt too strange, too deliberate. Why would a billionaire's charity care about his auto shop debt? His phone buzzed with another message from Cynthia. "Leo wants to know if you'd come for dinner tomorrow. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti. It's the least we can do. Please say yes." Andre smiled despite his concerns. He'd grown fond of both Cynthia and Leo over the past few days, checking in on them daily. He typed back, "Wouldn't miss it. Need me to bring anything? Just yourself," came the quick reply, followed by her address. Andre was about to set his phone down when it rang, an unknown number with the city's area code. "Hello? Mr. Johnson? This is Charlotte Hamilton. We met at the hospital the other day." Andre sat up straighter. "Ms. Hamilton, yes, I remember. Please, call me Charlotte." Her voice was as smooth and confident over the phone as it had been in person. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." "Not at all," Andre said, though he found himself oddly nervous. "What can I do for you?" "Actually, it's what I might be able to do for you. I've been speaking with my father about your kindness toward Cynthia and Leo Wells. He was quite impressed." Andre shifted uncomfortably. "That's really not necessary." "Anyone would have—" "No, Mr. Johnson, not anyone would have," Charlotte interrupted firmly. "We both know that, which is precisely why my father would like to meet you." Andre nearly dropped his phone. "Your father? Robert Hamilton wants to meet me?" "Yes, he's hosting a small dinner this Friday at his home. Nothing formal, just a few people. He'd be honored if you would attend." Andre's mind raced. Why would one of the richest men in the state want to meet a rideshare driver? "I'm flattered, but I don't understand why." "My father values compassion and initiative, Mr. Johnson. 2 qualities you demonstrated in abundance the other night." Charlotte paused. "You helped someone in need without expectation of reward. That's surprisingly rare these days." Andre thought about it. He was scheduled to work Friday night, but he could probably swap shifts with someone. "What time on Friday?" 7 o'clock. "I can text you the address." "And Mr. Johnson?" "Business casual is fine. No need for anything formal." After getting the details and hanging up, Andre sat motionless, trying to process what had just happened. Robert Hamilton, the man whose name was on half the buildings downtown, wanted to have dinner with him. It was surreal. His roommate Darnell walked in from his bedroom. "Who died? You look like you've seen a ghost." Andre explained the phone call. Darnell's eyes grew progressively wider. "Bro, do you know what this means? Hamilton could be looking to offer you a job or something. The man doesn't invite random people to dinner." "I'm a driver with an associate's degree," Andre pointed out. "What job could he possibly offer me?" Darnell shrugged. "Maybe he needs a personal driver? Whatever it is, you better go shopping. You can't show up in those jeans with the hole in the knee." Andre looked down at his worn jeans. She said business casual. "Yeah, and for billionaires that probably means designer everything," Darnell countered. "At least get a decent pair of pants and a button-up shirt." The next evening, Andre found himself standing outside Cynthia's apartment building. It was modest but well-maintained, with flower boxes on many of the windows. He checked the apartment number again before knocking on door 304. Leo answered, his face breaking into a huge grin. "Andre, Mom, he's here." The apartment was small but homey, with bookshelves packed tight in colorful art, some clearly made by Leo on the walls. Delicious smells wafted from the tiny kitchen where Cynthia stirred a pot of sauce. Perfect timing, she called. Dinner's almost ready. Leo immediately dragged Andre to his room to show him a science project, a solar system model with planets made from painted styrofoam balls. My teacher said it was the best one, Leo said proudly. Even better than Tommy's, and his dad is a scientist. It's awesome, Andre agreed, genuinely impressed by the detail. You did all this yourself? Mom helped with the paint, Leo admitted. But I did the research and made sure all the planets are the right distance apart. Leo, Andre, dinner, Cynthia called. Over spaghetti and garlic bread, conversation flowed easily. Leo dominated much of it, telling Andre about school and his friends and how the hospital had given him a cool rocket-shaped pen that lit up. Andre found himself laughing more than he had in months. After Leo went to bed, Cynthia poured 2 glasses of wine and joined Andre on the small balcony overlooking the street. Thank you for coming, she said softly. Leo's been talking about you nonstop. When is Andre coming? Can we invite Andre? Andre smiled. He's a great kid. You're doing an amazing job with him. Cynthia sipped her wine, looking out at the night sky. It hasn't been easy. His father left when Leo was 2, right after the diagnosis. Said he couldn't handle a sick kid. Her voice held old pain, but no bitterness. But we've managed. More than managed, Andre observed. Leo is happy, smart, confident. That's all you. Cynthia turned to face him, her expression serious. I never properly thanked you for what you did the other night. You have no idea what it meant to us. You've thanked me plenty, Andre insisted. The dinner tonight was thanks enough. It's more than just the ride to the hospital, Cynthia continued. It's how you treated us. Like we mattered. Andre frowned slightly. Of course you matter. You'd be surprised, Cynthia said quietly. When you're a single mom with a chronically ill child, people often treat you like you're, I don't know, asking for too much just by existing. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Andre remembered his news. Actually, something strange happened. Charlotte Hamilton called me today. Cynthia turned to him, surprised. Really? What did she want? To invite me to dinner at her father's house this Friday. Andre still couldn't quite believe it himself. Robert Hamilton's house? Cynthia's eyes widened. Are you going to go? I think so. Wouldn't you? Just out of curiosity, if nothing else. Cynthia nodded slowly. I suppose I would. She hesitated. There's something I should probably tell you about the Hamiltons. Andre raised an eyebrow. What's that? After you dropped us off that first day, I did some research. The Hamilton Foundation isn't just any charity. It's one of the largest private medical research foundations in the country. They specifically fund research into rare childhood diseases, including Leo's condition. Andre processed this information. So that's why Dr. Rivera called them? Partly, Cynthia said. But there's more. Charlotte Hamilton isn't just Robert's daughter. She's the CEO of Hamilton Health Systems, which owns Memorial Hospital and about 20 others nationwide. Wow, Andre said softly. No wonder she seemed so in charge. There's something else, Cynthia continued, looking slightly uncomfortable. The day after Leo's hospital stay, Dr. Rivera called me. He asked a lot of questions about you, where we met, what you did, even what kind of car you drive. Andre frowned. That's odd. I thought so too, Cynthia agreed. I got the impression he was asking on someone else's behalf. They fell silent again, both contemplating the implications. Finally, Andre checked his watch. I should probably get going. Early shift tomorrow. At the door, Cynthia hesitated, then hugged him briefly. Thank you again. For everything. Andre felt a warmth spread through him at the contact. Anytime. On Friday evening, Andre stood outside the imposing gates of the Hamilton estate, feeling distinctly out of place. He'd spent more than he could afford on new clothes, dark gray slacks and a navy button-up shirt that Darnell had assured him looked executive level. Now, looking at the mansion beyond the gates, he wondered if he should have bought a tie as well. The security guard checked his ID, then waved him through with unexpected deference. Mr. Hamilton is expecting you, sir. You can park anywhere along the circular drive. Andre's aging Toyota looked comically out of place next to the gleaming luxury vehicles already parked there. A valet appeared, but Andre waved him off. too embarrassed to have someone else park his car with its mismatched door and duct-taped side mirror. The front door opened before he could knock, revealing Charlotte Hamilton in an elegant but simple black dress. "Andre, welcome," she said warmly. "I'm so glad you could make it." She led him through a foyer larger than his entire APA. Apartment into a surprisingly cozy study where a white-haired man sat in a leather chair. He stood as they entered, revealing an impressive height and a presence that immediately commanded attention despite his age. "Mr. Johnson," the man said, extending his hand. "Robert Hamilton. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Andre shook his hand, noting the firm grip. "The pleasure is mine, sir. Thank you for the invitation. Please sit." Robert gestured to a chair opposite his own. "Would you like a drink?"
"Scotch? Wine?"
"Water is fine, thank you," Andre said, not wanting alcohol to loosen his tongue in this intimidating setting. Charlotte left to get the drinks, leaving the two men alone. Robert studied Andre with keen interest. "So," Robert said after a moment, "you're the young man who stopped in the rain to help a stranger and her sick child?" Andre shifted uncomfortably. "Anyone would have done the same." Robert's eyebrows rose. "Would they? I'm not so sure." He leaned forward slightly. "Tell me, Mr. Johnson, what do you do besides drive for a living?" "That's pretty much it at the moment, sir," Andre admitted. "I have an associate's degree in business administration, but I haven't found the right opportunity yet." "And before that?" 4 years in the Army, Transportation Corps." Robert nodded thoughtfully. "Honorable discharge?" "Yes, sir." Charlotte returned with their drinks, followed by a man in a suit who announced that dinner would be ready in 15 minutes. "Perfect," Robert said. Then to Andre's surprise, he added, "Will you join us, Charlotte?" "I think Mr. Johnson should hear what we've been discussing." Charlotte smiled. "Of course, Father." As she took a seat beside him, Andre couldn't shake the feeling that he was being evaluated for something. The question was what? Dinner at the Hamilton mansion was unlike anything Andre had ever experienced. The dining room could have fit his entire apartment with space to spare. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the antique table, where only 4 places were set. Robert and Charlotte Hamilton, Andre, and a distinguished-looking older woman introduced as Patricia Winters, the director of the Hamilton Foundation. Andre felt out of his depth among these powerful people, but they made efforts to put him at ease, keeping the conversation light through the first course, a delicate soup he couldn't pronounce but enjoyed nonetheless. "So, Andre," Patricia said as the main course arrived. "Charlotte tells me you served in the Army before becoming a driver." "Yes, ma'am." "Transportation Corps, 4 years. And you have an associate's degree in business?" Robert added, cutting into his steak. Andre nodded, increasingly curious about this interest in his background. "From the community college. Nothing fancy. Education comes in many forms," Robert said thoughtfully. "Some of the most valuable lessons aren't taught in classrooms." As dinner progressed, Andre noticed that the questions seemed carefully chosen, probing his character rather than just his resume. They asked about his family, mother and 3 siblings, all working class, his hobbies, basketball and reading when he had time, and his future goals, vague hopes of running his own business someday. Finally, as dessert was served, Robert set down his fork and looked directly at Andre. "I imagine you're wondering why we invited you here tonight." Andre smiled slightly. "The thought had crossed my mind, sir." Robert exchanged glances with Charlotte before continuing. "Let me tell you a story, Andre. 50 years ago, I was a young man with a pregnant wife and a broken-down car. We were caught in a snowstorm when my wife went into labor 2 months early." Andre sat up straighter, suddenly understanding where this might be heading. "We were stranded on a rural road. No cell phones back then, of course. I was panicking, thinking I might lose both my wife and child." Robert's voice softened with the memory. Then a truck driver stopped, a complete stranger who could have easily driven past. Instead, he helped deliver my daughter right there in the back seat of our car. Robert looked at Charlotte with unmistakable love. "He saved both their lives that night. And when I tried to thank him later to offer him money, a job, anything, he refused. Said he just did what anyone would do." The parallel to Andre's own words wasn't lost on him. He sat quietly, waiting for Robert to continue. "That experience changed me," Robert said. "Made me realize that true character reveals itself in moments when there's nothing to gain. That truck driver showed me what real humanity looks like." He leaned forward, "Just as you showed Cynthia and Leo Wells. Andre shook his head slightly. Mr. Hamilton, I appreciate the comparison, but all I did was give someone a ride to the hospital. No, Charlotte interjected firmly. You stayed with them for hours. You paid their registration fee. You retrieved their belongings in the rain. You offered to help with their car. You checked on them daily afterward. She smiled. We did our homework, Andre. Patricia Winters spoke up. The Hamilton Foundation was created with a dual purpose: to fund medical research for childhood diseases and to recognize exceptional acts of community service. The second part gets less publicity, but it's equally important to the Hamilton family. Robert nodded. Each year we select one individual who exemplifies the spirit of selfless service that changed my life. Someone who acts with compassion when there's nothing to gain. He looked directly at Andre. This year that person is you. Andre felt his cheeks warm. I'm honored, but really, the foundation award comes with a grant, Charlotte explained. $100,000 to be used however the recipient chooses. Andre nearly choked on his water. Excuse me? Patricia smiled at his reaction. It's meant to be life-changing, Andre. To give good people the freedom to do more good in the world. Andre's mind raced. That kind of money would pay off his student loans, cover his mother's medical bills, maybe even provide the startup capital for the small business he'd dreamed about. I don't know what to say, he admitted. Say you'll accept, Robert encouraged, and that you'll attend the foundation gala next month where we make the official announcement. Andre nodded slowly, still processing. Of course. Thank you. There's one more thing, Charlotte added. The foundation is expanding its transportation program for families with chronically ill children. We need someone to oversee it, someone who understands both transportation logistics and the human side of helping families in crisis. Andre looked up sharply. Are you offering me a job? Robert smiled. A career, more accurately. Starting salary is $90,000 plus benefits. Charlotte can go over the details later if you're interested. If I'm interested? Andre repeated incredulously. Mr. Hamilton, that's more than triple what I make now. You'd be worth every penny, Charlotte assured him. The position would draw on your military experience, your business education, and most importantly, your natural compassion. We've already spoken to several families in our program, Patricia added. Including Cynthia Wells, they all agreed you'd be perfect. Andre's head was spinning. Cynthia knows about this? Charlotte nodded. She was quite enthusiastic in her recommendation. Said you were exactly the kind of person families in crisis need. Someone who sees them as people, not problems. By the time Andre drove home that night, his life had completely changed course. The job offer, the award, the recognition, it was overwhelming. But what stayed with him most was knowing that Cynthia had spoken so highly of him to the Hamiltons. The next morning, Andre sat at his kitchen table, staring at the business card Charlotte had given him with her direct number. He was supposed to call on Monday to discuss the job details. Beside the card lay a text from Cynthia. How was dinner with the billionaire? Still in one piece? Andre smiled and called instead of texting back. Hey, Cynthia answered, sounding pleased. I was just thinking about you. Good things, I hope, Andre replied. Especially since I hear you gave me quite the recommendation to the Hamiltons. There was a pause. They told you about that? About the job? And the award? Yeah, they told me everything. Andre's voice softened. Thank you for what you said about me. I only told the truth, Cynthia said simply. You changed things for us, Andre. Not just by helping us get to the hospital, but by reminding me that there are good people in the world. Andre felt a warmth spread through his chest. Listen, I was wondering if you and Leo might want to grab lunch today. I could use some advice about this whole career change thing. We'd love to, Cynthia replied, and Andre could hear the smile in her voice. Leo's been asking when he'd see you again anyway. Later that day, sitting across from Cynthia in a small cafe, while Leo enthusiastically described his latest science experiment, Andre marveled at how one simple decision, stopping for a stranger in the rain, had altered the course of so many lives, including his own. So you're really going to take the job? Cynthia asked when Leo paused for breath. Andre nodded. I think so. It feels right, you know? Using what I'm good at to help families like yours. The Hamiltons are lucky to get you, Cynthia said sincerely. Speaking of the Hamiltons, Andre began hesitantly. There's this gala next month where they're giving me this award. I'm supposed to bring guests, and I was wondering if maybe you and Leo might want to come as my guests. Cynthia's eyes softened. We'd be honored. Leo looked up from his chocolate milk. Is it fancy? Do I have to wear a tie?